had a slow start to home building this year, but there is one thing we have to get done before winter comes.
We have to get our concrete floor poured. Otherwise, we risk having the footings heave when the ground freezes and thaws, which would throw off so much of the work we did this summer. Hi there, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Lorana. Welcome to Hole in the Ground.
This is the beginning of our journey to build our EARTHSHIP home,
which we affectionately call a hobbit hole,
in beautiful Idaho.
Part of what was tricky about getting the concrete floor poured is that there were a lot of preliminary steps. First, we had to have footings.
Check.
Then we had to have the first row of tires completed.
Easy.
But then we had to get our underfloor plumbing roughed in.
Woof.
Yeah, you can watch our last video to hear all about our adventures with that. By the time plumbing was roughed in, it was November, and we really felt pressured by the impending winter.
Once plumbing was in, our dirt contractor was all ready to put down the road base that needed to go underneath the concrete floor. He got everything leveled and compacted, and he also cut out a section for the planter at the front of the home. We'll tell you about that next. We also made this box to go around the plumbing valves next to the planter. Getting to this point was really exciting because it felt like we could envision what the floor would look like. It made our project feel more like a home and less like, well, a hole in the ground. When the dirt work was finished, we got on the schedule for the contractor who had done our footings, and then watched the temperature with bated breath.
Our home is a slab-on-grade rectangle, so pretty much as simple as it gets. But we decided to line the planter at the front of the house with concrete, which made things a little more complicated. The interior wall of the planter was poured like another small footing. It looks like an upside-down T. This had to be done as a separate pour, and once this wall was done, they could frame up the side walls of the planter. The plumbing from the valve box needed to be able to run into the planter, so our contractor placed a PVC pipe to act as a sleeve, and once the pour was done, we fed the pipe through this opening. All told, the planter is about 2 feet deep, 2 feet wide, and 60 feet long. Once the planter was completed, it was time for the real deal: prepping and pouring the floor.
It was already quite cold by this point, which meant that we needed to put concrete blankets over the planter and over the ground to try and keep the temperature up before the pour. Our contractor got all the rebar laid out, and Lorana and I spent some very late and cold nights laying out concrete blankets and cutting the geomesh to allow the concrete to get in between the tires and the first course. Once an inspector came out and gave the go-ahead on the preliminary work, our floor could finally be poured.
After letting the concrete cure for 3 days, we could pull off the concrete blankets and see the finished product. So here it is. We were hoping to get a burnished finish at this point, but it was too cold by the time the pour happened for that to work. We will need to sand and polish the floor when things thaw in the spring, but for now we are just so relieved to have a floor. We're one step closer to calling this place home.
Unrelated to the floor, we also got the second layer of tires finished before winter. There was still a lot that we had to learn, even on our second course, so we'll tell you about that in the next video.